I started Breakthrough when I was in 5th grade. 5th grade transitioning into 6th grade, so that was about like roughly 9 or 10 years ago. I started when the program was a little bit smaller than it is today. I attended the Ransom Everglades campus. And from there, basically, life has just gotten better and better. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about because it's the very reason that I'm here. So, I was an educator. She's a teacher. She had me when she was in high school, so she was in her senior year. My dad works in maintenance, and they were 18 and 20 when they had me. My mom really, really pushed education. A lot of the schools in our neighborhood, such as Lenore B. Smith, Alumna Middle, they're not the best, and now they are sufficiently underfunded, unfortunately. But my mom always tried to find new and better ways to make sure that her kids are educated in the way that she believed and why she became a teacher in the first place. So when I was in 5th grade, we had a person named Ryan, I believe. He was one of the recruitment people for Breakthrough Miami, and he came into my 5th grade class at Coconut Grove Elementary. And he made learning sound very fun. And of course, like my other friends were like, wow, you really want to spend a summer learning? And I was like, yeah. And he made, like, there were no videos then, no nothing. It's just the way that he sold the program, just through words alone, really made me say, wow. I took that application, and you can ask my mom. I literally filled out the entire thing that night, made her sign it, and we found out where we needed to send it into, and that was basically it from there. I had a couple of friends who did it with me, and they are still very active in the program, and we're actually all here at University of Miami, believe it or not. And they're all doing fantastic and great things. When I first started Breakthrough, I was very shy. I did not think I would probably ever be sitting in a room talking to anyone. I was one of those introverted learners where I learned, but I like to keep to myself and didn't really want to talk to very many people. But just my first summer alone, I walked away being able to vocalize how I felt, ask questions. I didn't really feel embarrassed or ashamed anymore to basically learn. I still remember everything from that very summer. I was in Village 11. We did the Amazing Race, and my group was called Furious France. I had my teachers were Casey Addock and Anthony Gonzalez, and I still keep in contact with them today. Just from, like I said, from that very first summer, that's basically hit the ground running. A year later, Lauren and Weber basically told my mom about great opportunities to attend private schools here in the area. And although I had applied to Ransom Everglades before and didn't get in, I was very discouraged. I was like, no, I'm just going to stay at Ponce, and that's it. However, once again, my mother was like, you don't have a choice. So I applied to Ransom Everglades in Carrollton School of Sacred Heart. Breakthrough provided the SSAT practice. They provided interview help, all the things that I needed in the resources. And I ended up attending Carrollton School of Sacred Heart, so I'm a Carrollton alum. Carrollton was a fantastic experience. Like I said, I am literally a product of all the experiences that I've had combined just from starting my Breakthrough Miami summer. And it's unforgettable. A lot of things happened there, so I got really into leadership and service. I'm very avid and love to advocate for others. I feel like everyone should have a voice, so that's basically the stance that I've taken. I've always loved science, not so much math, but science is a little hard. And since the beginning, I knew I always wanted to be a doctor and go into that field. But I never was able to really, figure out how to go about things. So when it came time to applying to college and things like that, not only did Breakthrough have those resources, but being able to attend a school that everyone was going to college, literally everyone. Everyone was taking SAT and ACT prep classes. So you didn't really, by default, because of the environment you were in, there was no such thing as I'm not going to do. Maybe you may have thought, well, I may not get into that school, but you knew you were going to get into a school regardless, and you were going to college. So that really set the mark and the standard. So basically from there, one of my greatest takeaways from Carrollton, not only in the leadership and service, but I learned Mandarin. When I was in 7th grade, that's when I went into Carrollton. You had to pick a language, and I wanted to take French because my sister took French, even though she's younger and I'm the oldest. Like, low-key, I always kind of wanted to be like my younger siblings. They just don't know that. And I know they probably are like, what? But they all took French at the time, and I wanted to take French because I had been learning Spanish and never could grasp it at all. I learned the same thing every year, and all I know is like breakfast foods, and I can understand now because my mom speaks Spanish very fluently. But I can understand, but I can't speak it back, so I kind of got tired of it. And so, unfortunately, the French program is full, and they were like, well, our Chinese program is new, but you can join. And I was like, I don't want to learn Chinese. When am I ever going to use that? And, you know, being in 7th grade, it being a very small program at the time, I was like, I guess. So I started, I learned the basics, 7th and 8th grade, and I wanted to drop it because I wasn't the best at it. And it was something I actually had to work at. And so my mom was like, once again, not happening. Got into 9th grade, and I had a Chinese teacher, Zhang Lao Shi, who literally pushed me so hard. I probably broke a couple of times in 9th grade and like was really done with Chinese, but she made me want to do more. And I continued to have teachers who made me want to do more, didn't let me settle for just the bare minimum. And by 10th grade, I had participated in Chinese competition at an elementary level and placed first in our state Florida competition. I went on to then represent the state of Florida in the elementary level, and then the placing out of participants, like I think I placed like 10th in one of the rounds. And by the time I was a senior, I decided to take IB Mandarin HL for native speakers.
She's stellar.
My speech wasn't the best, but my reading and writing were basically, my teacher said if you ever read anything I wrote, that it looked like I was straight out of China, and that's how she would say it. So I decided to do that. We had a class of about 3 people, so there was no more hiding for me. I had to speak every single day in that class, and it was one of the classes that I prayed before I went to, because I was like, I don't know what's going to happen today, but whatever comes out will come out. It really built character because you did not have the choice. I was a class of 3 people, my Chinese teacher. And by the time we got into the spring semester, I decided to participate again in the state competition as a native speaker, because they said that I couldn't participate as a non-native speaker. And when the results,
native Mandarin
yes.
speaker?
So I decided to do all 3. I did the reading, the writing, and the speech. I placed first in the reading and writing, and I placed second in speech, probably because I just like writing in general. I love writing. My mom's always done that, and I love reading. So reading and writing in another language is not that hard. However, formulating sentences is a little hard because you don't really get to think about it before you speak as much, or you end up sounding very choppy. But it was an amazing experience that continued to follow me in college, where I now here I decided to take a Chinese class. I had to take an independent study, because when I took my proficiency test here, the school was like, we cannot allow you to take the class because you're going to get an A. And the class they put me in was full of actual native speakers. I was in the class for the first time as a freshman with native speakers, and I dropped the class so fast because the teacher was like, just teaching, and I was like, oh, this is new. Okay. But once again, that was a very small class. So since I dropped it, the teacher actually told me about possibly looking at opportunities to study abroad. And since I am a Gates Scholar, I'm a Gates Millennium Scholar, and I'm also a Hammond Scholar here at UM, I decided to study abroad, especially when I realized that the cost would be covered. So last semester, I spent 3.5 months in China, Shanghai to be exact. It was my very first time out of the country alone, by myself. I took a 2-hour flight, 3-hour flight to Dallas, and then flew about 12 hours to China. Landed by myself, got everything together. It was really scary. I was able to locate, obviously, the people who were supposed to pick us up and take us to the school, but I did a culturally immersive program, so I lived with the students. I went to class every single day. I had a buddy that I met with for 2 hours every single day after classes, and I really got to do a lot of service there, and I got to learn a lot about the people in the community. And in that alone, I don't think I would have ever been given the opportunity to do that if I did not start Breakthrough, because what was learning Chinese? That's definitely not a language that's taught at all in the Miami-Dade public school system. I think the most exquisite is German, as far as I understand. And I think my brother at his school that he's at now actually just decided that they want to start a Mandarin program, so he wants to do that now. But just that alone is something that I've obviously taken with me, and like I said, advocacy. So when I grow up, because I'm still growing, I'm really enjoying being a child. I don't want to graduate college. My parents are still paying for things, and I like that.
Are you a senior?
One more year. Because Gates Millennium pays for 10 years, and thankfully Hammond has covered full tuition, my parents have not had to pay anything for me to attend college. I have not had to take out any loans, and I don't plan on if I don't have to, because my mom put herself through college, and she's actually working her doctorate still. She got her master's when I was like 6, so that alone already set the standard that she was not going to stop. And she obviously, as an educator, has debt, but it's okay, because she always showed me that it doesn't matter as long as the ends justify the means. It's okay. So after I graduate, I plan on going to get my master's in biomedical science, hopefully at Duke University, because that was my top choice, but they decided to defer me. It's okay. So I'm here now. And then I hope to potentially go on to medical school and then do AMD PhD. I would like to be an obstetrician gynecologist specializing in fetal and maternal medicine, and hopefully one day open my own line of birthing centers, because I feel very strongly about women and basically reproductive health, especially since a lot of women, we have so many advances in healthcare now that we still have women who are dying when they give birth. And to me, that is very crazy that we have all this new research and things, and still something that is an age-old practice that is the reason why everyone is in the room is still something that people can't manage to figure out because they believe that women's pain isn't sufficient enough and that we're dramatic. When actually we know our bodies better, but it's fine. But I hope to do all of that. Here at UM, I am involved in what people consider a lot of things, but all of them kind of like go together, in my opinion. So I started in student government. I did freshman leadership council. I worked very closely with the Butler Center. I'm on homecoming executive committee on student organizations. And yeah, I just submitted a grant application because I would one day like to also start my own nonprofit for all girls, particularly in the city of Miami. And so hopefully I get some results from that soon. But I just really like being a part of the community, and it's one of the reasons why I'm very grateful that I got to stay in Miami. Because when I finish and get all my degrees, I would like to come back and continue to basically give back to the community that gave so much to me. So that's just it.